And he asked the organist, who clearly didn't know who he was, if he would mind if he played the organ for the recessional and for the congregation to leave the church. And the organist said, yes, fine. So Handel sat behind the organ, and out came this beautiful outpouring of music. The congregation were totally and utterly bewitched by it, and just remained firmly seated in their seats. At which point the young organist, obviously very frustrated that nobody had left, pushed Handel aside and said, "Hey up, you're not doing it right. That's not the way to play people out. I'll show you how to play people out." Sat behind the organ, and of course out came the usual monotonous drone, and within 2 or 3 minutes the place was empty. Fortunately, our organist has not that monotonous drone. There are times, I must confess, when I could sit all Sunday afternoon and listen to the music that comes from the organ at the recessional and as the postlude. And I think that it's very easy to take that sort of thing for granted. Certainly when I came over here, having been used to parish organists who are volunteers primarily and amateurs at best, to have a professional organist play in a church was something quite remarkable for me. And it's important also, I think, because there are times when we are all perhaps not in the right frame of mind for worship. There are times when all sorts of other things come crowding in on our minds. And it's when you hear music such as that, that all of a sudden things start to take on a more meaningful perspective. And something else that people might not know. It's very easy when you're a member of a choir or a choir master or an acolyte or something to feel as though you're somewhat of a performer up front on a stage. Very difficult. And I happen to know that our choir director takes as his spiritual food, if you like, his worship, he takes the music that he plays. That to him is his form of worship. He's too busy to get involved in the liturgy that we get involved. He's planning the next move ahead and so on. So in the music that he plays, that we enjoy, that we hear, that we listen to, that is his form of worship. And certainly for me, that comes through. I'm not going to bore you anymore. Let me finish with just something that I found. A little bit of poetry. You've had some poetry already this morning, so we'll keep this on in churches, the church services and so on. This is what he said about church music. Sweetest of sweets, I thank you. When displeasure did through my body wound my mind, you took me thence, and in your house of pleasure a dainty lodging me assigned. Now I in you without body move, rising and falling with your wings. Ladies and gentlemen, I speak for myself. I'm sure I speak for a lot of people when I say that there are times when my soul has risen and fallen on the wings of Kim's music. As a mark of appreciation, of our love, of our respect, and of our congratulations for becoming a penguin. There's one on the wall. Pick up a penguin. Of course, we all know that he absolutely decimated the competition in the competition for the really was no contest. He stood up there and twitched his bat on, and everything just fell into place. What is it they say? Their gain is our loss. However, for you to think about us when you're stood there wafting the wand, and for us always to remember you with our love. Some cards. I am getting paranormal waves. Oh, right. We have provided you, at great expense, with a glass of Chateauneuf de Lime Juice Ice 63, which is, I believe, a good year. It's a frivolous little thing, quite unpretentious. May I ask you to raise your crystal plastic paper cup in a toast to Kim and Jay.
To Kim and Jay. Can you do better than that?
Where?
I was disappointed in only one thing, that when he took his cassock off, he didn't have his tuxedo on. He cut a dashing figure on the stage of the Alexandria Symphony Orchestra that day. And indeed, as he leaves us, I leave him with a small gift as a reminder that he crosses the Potomac, which is not exactly overseas mission, but it is another diocese. And this is a memento of the Diocese of Washington, of Douglas Major at the great organ of the Diocesan Washington Cathedral. We send you with our love, and we wait only for your own recording to come back to us.
It says here, personal. Stephen, will you please forward this to Mr. Kim Kluge and James Bell? For those of you who don't know, I just formally, Jane, and I just formally announced our engagement. Will be September 17th in St. Paul, Minnesota, where Jane is from. My family's from Wisconsin. We will be having some kind of gathering here for all of our Washington friends.
This better? As I go across the Potomac into the very lovely community of Alexandria, I don't think of this new journey as being better, just being different, a new phase of my life. I want to thank you for your support during my 3 years here, and for the sharing and the giving that you have given me. I've really viewed my work here not only as a choir director and as an organist, but very much as a quote-unquote minister of music. I hope I've accomplished that. But the most important thing that I want to say is I want to thank you for what you've given to me. Because as I go on to my new life and my new work with the Alexandria Symphony, which will be more than full-time, I will take a vision with me, and a vision that you have helped shape. For although my first obligation to the symphony is to raise the artistic standards for the orchestra and for the community, and my commitment is to the music, I bring a second commitment, and one that, for me, is even more special to the community. And that is a social vision for the orchestra. Because I hope that the orchestra will not be perceived as an elitist institution only for the privileged few, but for all the citizens of Alexandria. And already we've started, in the 5 short weeks that I've been there, we started a program, an intergenerational program with seniors, outstanding seniors in the orchestra, and talented youth from DC, Montgomery County, PG County, and Northern Virginia, whereby 3 and 4 people will work together in smaller groups. We'll have about 40 people involved, preparing chamber music, creating bridges, creating a bond within those groups, be multi-generational and multiracial, and then going into senior activity centers, not only in Alexandria, but in the greater Washington area, and in retirement homes, and performing on a very informal basis and building bridges there. And we've all, Time Life Books has jumped on the bandwagon, and they're supporting a very aggressive and creative campaign in the schools. And I've also started a 3rd program with the Messiah. We're doing the largest Messiah in the Washington, D.C. area, 250 voices. When I told a newspaper reporter that we're doing the largest Messiah, he said, "Is that a theological statement?" We're having 250 voices from Alexandria. This year will be a straight performance. Next year we'll begin a tradition of a sing-along, and the proceeds will be donated. I thought it would be a nice way of thanking the community by having this sing-along, whereby members of the community and the Greater Washington area can come along to the Alexandria Symphony, bring their scores, as Raylan, Jane, Steve, and I did this year at the Kennedy Center, and sing along with 250 voices and the Alexandria Symphony. But I thought, how much more meaningful it would be if we asked for contributions and had the proceeds go to the needy during Christmas time. And this is just the beginning. These things have happened just in the 5 weeks that I've been there. But I bring that vision to the orchestra and to the board and to the community. And you have helped shape that vision, and I thank you for that. I'd like to give special thanks to the choir. Some of the old members have returned for their support. Some of the former and young and former members of the choir. And I want to thank them for their support. I want to thank Father Tom, and most of all, members of St. John's. Thank you very much.
Add only one thing, that there is a large red box here, and it has a slot in it. There's no trip to Hawaii or anything else. There are envelopes on top, and if you would like to add a note or a gift to Kim, you can put it in the envelope and in the box, and we will be sure that he gets it. Thank you.
How gorgeous. Thank you very much. From the choir, studs and cufflinks. Thank you very much, choir.
Right, you may have noticed that at the far end here there's some food, which I believe has to be eaten. May I suggest that we just...
You're not going to be there, but you're witnessing it now for the first time.
You may now kiss the bride.